It's time to start your morning by taking 5. Here's your host, Matt McMaster.
You're listening to Take 5, quick 5-minute take on the biggest things happening in Nebraska sports. I'm your host, Matt McMaster, talking a little spring football today. Head coach Matt Rhule went to the podium on Saturday, talked to the media. Lots going on in college football right now. We are in the midst of spring football. Some spring football seasons have ended. Ohio State had their spring game. Tennessee had their spring game. Alabama, Georgia also had spring games. So winding to an end. Nebraska is about 12 days away until their big Husker Games event. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, there's kind of an unknown right now on how popular that is going to be. But regardless, portal opens up this Wednesday, and I think that is going to be what will dominate the conversation for the next couple of weeks here, as we are in an unprecedented time, and we have been in an unprecedented time in college football and college sports in general for a while now. But this spring portal is going to be incredibly interesting and incredibly captivating. It already has been. You heard about Nico Amavala out of Tennessee, the quarterback, who basically was getting paid about $2.5 million, told Tennessee, hey, I want to get paid more money. They told him no. He missed practice. They dismissed him from the team. He's now in the transfer portal. He's going to get picked up by a team, and they're going to pay him a lot of money just because Nico is a pretty damn good quarterback. And we are in a time right now where good quarterback play is kind of scarce in college football. I mean, there's just not a lot of great returning starters this season. A couple of them went to the NFL. They had a lot of veterans. And then on top of that, now, I do want to say this. Currently, right now, the quarterback play in football, not great, but it will be. There are a ton of talented quarterbacks in college football right now. They're just young. But right now, currently, Nico will find a landing spot. And we'll see how this transfer portal kind of pans out. There's going to be a lot of front-loading money because of the impending House legislation that is yet to be settled, in which that deals with how much NIL money you can use and how much rev share and what teams can pay players. And on top of that, roster limits. Head coach Matt Rhule of Nebraska talked about that over the weekend. And I think the biggest thing that he really touched on is you got to get the right advice from the right people. He made that very, very clear. I mean, he said his message was, look, if you're a player at Nebraska and you decide to leave the portal, that's your decision. I respect your decision no matter what you do, whether or not you stay here or whether or not you go. You know, you got to do what's best for you. But you have to do that with the right information. You have to find the right people, and you have to get a circle of trust. And you have to make sure that, you know, there are a lot of people out there, and he talked about this, how there are people right now in college football who promise one thing and then another thing comes true. And that, unfortunately, and that's what he said, and this is me saying, you know, if you just look at the landscape of what's going on right now, there are a lot of people who aren't athletes who look at athletes who are getting paid as a lot of money as an opportunity for them to make money. And in that case, and you know, we've kind of seen instances of that happening, and we've heard instances of this happening. In these cases, it's unfortunately people doing what's best for them and not for the athlete. And I think it's a really important message from head coach Matt Rhule to not only say to his players, but nationally, that you have to make sure that you have a circle of trust, that you have people who are giving you the right information, and that you got to be very strategic in terms of how you enter the portal. Now, Nebraska specific, when it comes to the portal, they have to, in my opinion, go out and get a running back. We've heard some really good things about Emmett Johnson. I think at this point, it's very clear Emmett Johnson is Emmett Johnson. EJ is EJ. He's the number one running back. What you saw in the last 3 weeks of the season when Dana Holgorsen came in to be the offensive coordinator is what I think you should expect for a majority of this season, just as long as he doesn't get hurt. And I think his implementation, not only in the run game, but the pass game, will be great for Nebraska's offense. But I worry a lot about this second running back situation. And we've heard some really, really good things about Quinn and Ives, and, you know, the coaches have gloated about him. But the matter of fact is that he's only had one rush in his career for a couple of yards. He doesn't have a ton of experience. Makai Nelson has looked good. He's popped, but I mean, it's just clear that he hasn't emerged maybe in the way that you're hoping. And then you have Jamarian Parker, who a lot of people were hoping was going to burst onto the scene and maybe even take the job as a high school recruit. And we've seen it plenty of times, especially in the running back room. These guys come in, they're young, they're exciting. They go out there and they light the world on fire. He's currently dealing with some injuries and maybe even some weight issues from what we've heard. And so this running back room is really, really thin. Really thin. And I just think that Nebraska football needs to go out there and needs to invest in a running back. And I think they should have done it even before Dante Dowdell got into the portal. They should have done it after Dante Dowdell got into the portal. Now that you don't have him and you only have one running back, they need to go in. They need to get a running back that has previous experience that you can trust, right? And, if we're really getting granular here, you need it for injuries as well. Now, last year they were somewhat fortunate when it came to injuries. Dowdell and Johnson were able to, hold down the fort for most of the season. But the year prior, I mean, Ramir Johnson and Gabe Irvin Jr. were your top two running backs. And 2 weeks into the year, they were done. They were out for the season. And so that's why, you had to revert to Emmett Johnson. And if this were to happen to this team this season, I would be very, very worried about the depth that they have in that running back room. If we're looking across, kind of the rest of the roster, what else can they add? I wouldn't mind if they got another offensive lineman. Wouldn't mind if they got another defensive lineman. I think they're good at corner. They're good at linebacker. Maybe they dabble in wide receiver to make up for the loss of Hardly Gilmore being dismissed from the team. But still, with Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey playing really, really good football, like we've been told, I don't think there's a need for it. I think the tight end room is quite fine. Quarterback room, you're okay. So need to go out, and I think it's an absolute necessity to address the running back room. Outside of that, it'd be cool to get another lineman, offensive lineman, whether it be interior or on the outside. Would be nice to get another interior D lineman. But overall, I think this roster is shaping up, and I've heard some good things about how spring football has been going. Just mainly some positives, a lot of positives on the defensive side of the ball. Matt Rule, said that he thinks this team is physical, and it's good that they're physical. I think that's a major positive that you can take away from some of these, from what he said. O-line, we've gotten mixed messages about the depth. Dana Holgerson wasn't too crazy about the depth. Matt Rule said that it looked really good. Well, when it comes to the offensive line, they have plenty of pieces in terms of veteran guys, but also talent as well. I think that's just going to be a wait and see in terms of when they play Cincinnati in Kansas City. So that's overall kind of your spring football report. I've been Matt McMaster, and this has been Take 5.